In a world where love is often romanticized as the solution to all problems, few things are as counterintuitive as realizing that true freedom can sometimes only be achieved by letting go of a relationship. When love, which should be a source of joy and growth, turns into a cycle of pain and manipulation, it takes courage to step back and say, enough. Ending a toxic relationship isn't just a choice, it's an accomplishment, a declaration that you refuse to live a life constrained by someone else's expectations. In this video, we'll explore the transformative power that comes from taking that bold step, showing how breaking free from what confines you creates space for a future where true happiness and inner peace can finally blossom. If you've ever felt that something was wrong, but didn't know where to start, get ready to discover how the freedom you gain is the key to living a full and authentic life. Often, the traps of a toxic relationship are disguised as love, care, or concern, but the reality is far different. It's vital to recognize the early signs of a relationship that has no future, where behaviors like excessive control, subtle manipulation, and constant devaluation become part of the routine. Imagine a situation where every decision you make, from what to wear to who you spend time with, needs approval. That's control, not care. Identifying these patterns is the first step toward freeing yourself from a dynamic that slowly erodes your self-esteem and suffocates your personal freedom. Understanding the importance of identifying these harmful behaviors before they escalate can be the key to avoiding a relationship filled with emotional abuse. It's not just about spotting obvious behaviors like verbal aggression, but also those seemingly small gestures, like criticism disguised as jokes or subtle isolations that become increasingly frequent. By recognizing these signs early, you place yourself in a better position to prevent the relationship from becoming an emotional prison, where the bars may be invisible, but are just as confining. A practical example of this can be observed in everyday situations. Consider a partner who constantly makes demeaning comments about your ambitions or personal desires, belittling their importance. This isn't just disrespect, it's a clear sign of emotional manipulation. This is where the crucial role of self-awareness comes in. The more you understand what you deserve and what you're not willing to tolerate, the quicker you can identify these destructive patterns and distance yourself before it's too late. In doing so, you can avoid falling into the traps of a toxic relationship, making room for a future where self-love and freedom are top priorities. The awakening to self-love is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see clearly all that was once obscured by the shadows of insecurity and fear. When someone begins to recognize their own worth, it's as if a new perspective opens up, revealing that deserving more isn't selfish, but rather a vital necessity. This awakening is the first crucial step to freeing yourself from a toxic relationship, where you were often led to believe that you weren't enough, or that you should settle for scraps of affection. By strengthening your self-esteem, it becomes easier to recognize that life doesn't have to be limited by patterns of devaluation and manipulation. Building this solid foundation of self-love isn't an immediate process, but it can start with small actions that make a big difference. For example, dedicating time to activities you love, investing in self-care, and surrounding yourself with people who value who you really are effective ways to nurture self-esteem. Imagine starting your day with a self-care routine where every action is a reaffirmation of your worth, whether it's choosing an outfit that makes you feel good or setting aside time for inspiring reading. These small gestures accumulate, strengthening self-confidence and showing that you don't need to stay trapped in a relationship with no future. Once you understand your own value, the decision to leave a toxic relationship becomes less daunting. After all, when you recognize that you deserve more, the fear of losing the little you have is replaced by the excitement of gaining something much greater. It's like planting a seed of hope in previously barren soil. As you nurture this seed with self-love, it blossoms, leading you to a life more fulfilled and free of emotional ties. Thus, every step toward strengthening self-esteem is also a step toward freedom, paving the way for a future where emotional security and happiness are priorities. Breaking the chains of a toxic relationship takes courage, especially when the fear of the unknown feels stronger than the painful reality you live in. Often, the dread of loneliness and possible social repercussions can paralyze you, causing hesitation in taking the necessary step to break free. However, it's essential to understand that this fear, while real, doesn't have to be definitive. Facing the fear of leaving a relationship with no future is the beginning of a healing process that only strengthens over time. By challenging these fears, you give yourself the chance to build a new life where peace and freedom are more valuable than any temporary comfort. Overcoming the anxiety and insecurity associated with ending a relationship may seem like a Herculean task, but with the right strategies, it's possible to turn this moment of uncertainty into a springboard for personal growth. A practical example is using breathing and meditation techniques to calm the mind and body during the toughest moments. These practices, though simple, can provide an anchor in the midst of emotional chaos, allowing you to navigate the turbulent waters of separation with greater serenity. Additionally, planning small steps, like talking to a trusted friend or seeking professional guidance, can help transform fear into a driving force for change. Every woman who decides to break free from a toxic relationship is, in fact, choosing to liberate herself from a cycle of pain and oppression. And while the path may seem lonely at first, it's important to remember that with every step toward freedom, new opportunities arise. When you overcome the fear of the end, you open the door to a beginning filled with possibilities and discoveries. The key is to stay focused on what you gain rather than what you lose: freedom, peace of mind, and the chance to live a life where love, above all, is healthy and respectful. Navigating the end of a toxic relationship can be an isolating challenge, but having a solid support network makes all the difference. Friends, family, and even specialized support groups can become fundamental pillars in this process of overcoming. Imagine someone who, when feeling lost amid emotional chaos, finds comfort in an honest conversation with a friend or in the encouraging words of a family member. These connections are essential because they help remind you that even in moments of vulnerability, you're not alone on this journey. The importance of a support network goes beyond emotional support. It also offers practical help, like a safe place to stay if needed or assistance in reorganizing life after the breakup. An example of this is relying on a friend to help with moving, or even joining online support groups where women share similar experiences. These connections provide not only immediate support, but also a sense of community, showing that there is a path to be taken beyond the toxic and abusive relationship. Every word of encouragement, every act of kindness, is a brick in the foundation of a new life. However, for this support network to be effective, it's important that you're willing to accept help, which isn't always easy after a long period of emotional isolation. Learning to trust people again can be challenging, but by opening yourself up to these connections, you begin to rebuild your life on a more solid foundation. In this context, friendships and family relationships become not just sources of support, but also catalysts for emotional recovery and rediscovering who you are outside of the toxic relationship. This process of reconnection is vital to truly breaking free and moving forward, paving the way for the next phase of healing and self-discovery. When you go through a toxic relationship, your personal identity often becomes a distorted reflection of the partner's expectations and manipulations. It's as if you lose sight of who you really are, absorbing a version of yourself shaped by the other's needs. That's why, after the breakup, it's crucial to embark on a process of rediscovery, where you can reconnect with your interests, passions, and values. Imagine rediscovering that hobby that's always been your passion, but was set aside during the relationship with no future. This is the time to explore who you are outside the bonds that held you back. Rebuilding your identity isn't just about resuming old interests, but also about opening up to new experiences that can expand your personal horizon. For example, a woman who once felt restricted can now allow herself to learn a new skill, like playing an instrument or taking up a sport. These activities not only help redefine who she is, but also provide a new perspective on life and its possibilities. The goal is to fill the void left by the toxic relationship with experiences that nurture and strengthen your essence, allowing you to rebuild yourself in a more authentic and complete way. This process of rediscovery is essential for you to break free from the shadows of the past and build a new narrative about yourself. Every small victory, whether it's reconnecting with an old friend or discovering a new talent, contributes to the reconstruction of an identity that was stifled for so long. And as you reconnect with who you truly are, you gain not only the confidence, but also the clarity needed to avoid falling into toxic patterns in the future. Thus, the journey of personal reconstruction becomes a path of empowerment, where your identity re-emerges not only intact, but renewed and empowered. After deciding to leave a toxic relationship, one of the biggest challenges is resisting the temptation to go back. The traps of relapse are sneaky, often disguised as nostalgia or a false sense of security. It's common for the mind, in moments of weakness, to idealize the good times, temporarily forgetting the reasons why the breakup was necessary. However, it's crucial to remember that returning to a relationship with no future only prolongs the cycle of pain and frustration. To resist this temptation, it's essential to set clear boundaries, such as cutting off contact completely and avoiding places or situations that could trigger a relapse. Practical strategies can be adopted to stay firm in the decision to move forward. For example, one of the most effective approaches is to fill your time and mind with activities that bring personal satisfaction and are not linked to the past. Joining new social groups, dedicating yourself to personal projects, or even traveling are ways to create new memories that don't include the toxic relationship. By focusing on building a new life, the space for relapse becomes smaller and smaller, and you start to see the future with more clarity and less emotional attachment to the past. Additionally, it's important to keep in mind that relapse doesn't mean failure, but rather an obstacle that can be overcome. No one is immune to emotional ups and downs, especially after leaving an abusive relationship, but what sets those who manage to break free apart is the determination not to let a relapse define them. Every time the temptation arises, you can remind yourself of why you made the decision to leave and use that as fuel to keep moving forward. Over time, the traps of relapse lose their power, and the path to a life free of toxicity becomes clearer and more achievable. The journey to break free from a toxic relationship doesn't end with the breakup. In fact, it's just the beginning of a deeper process of healing and self-discovery. Therapy, in this context, plays a crucial role in providing a safe space to explore the emotional wounds that are often ignored or suppressed. Through self-awareness, you begin to understand the behavior patterns that led you to accept a toxic relationship, allowing you to break free from these destructive cycles. Imagine therapy as a beacon in the darkness, illuminating areas of the mind and heart that were previously in the shadows. Beyond helping you understand the past, therapy provides practical tools to build a healthier future. An example of this is developing coping techniques that allow you to deal with emotional triggers in a more balanced way. These triggers, which might have previously provoked feelings of guilt or insecurity, are now recognized and managed with greater clarity, strengthening emotional resilience. The practice of self-awareness, whether through therapy or other introspective activities like meditation and journaling, creates a solid foundation for personal growth, allowing you to rebuild yourself in a more conscious and empowered way. The power of therapy and self-awareness lies in their ability to transform pain into learning and strength. As you delve into the healing process, you not only break free from the chains of the toxic relationship, but also learn to create healthier and more balanced relationships in the future. This healing process is ongoing, and every therapy session, every moment of reflection, is a step forward in building a life where love, self-esteem, and mutual respect are priorities. By investing in this process, you become the protagonist of your own story, redefining what it means to live fully and free of toxicity. In the journey of recovery after a toxic relationship, it's easy to focus only on the major milestones, like the breakup or achieving new independence. However, it's in the small daily victories that true strength and motivation to keep moving forward are found. Every small achievement, whether it's getting through a day without thinking about your ex, or simply feeling good about yourself when you wake up, deserves to be celebrated. These victories, though subtle, are indicators of progress and show that, with every step, you're freeing yourself more and more from the emotional chains of the past. Recognizing and celebrating these small victories has a direct positive impact on emotional well-being. Imagine the difference it makes when, instead of criticizing yourself for still feeling some pain, you congratulate yourself for taking another step toward recovery. A practical example could be creating a gratitude journal, where you daily jot down the little things you're grateful for. This simple act of writing, of acknowledging what's good in your life, helps foster a more positive and resilient mindset, turning the healing process into something lighter and more hopeful. Every small victory is, in fact, a big leap in building a new life. When you celebrate these moments, you reinforce your self-esteem and your confidence in your ability to overcome challenges. This celebration doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as treating yourself to something that brings you joy, or spending quality time doing something you love. The important thing is that these victories are recognized as an integral part of the healing journey. By allowing yourself these moments of celebration, you strengthen the notion that you are indeed making progress and that, every day, you are closer to a future full of possibilities and free from toxicity. After leaving a toxic relationship, one of the most challenging yet essential tasks is redefining what love and intimacy truly mean. The experience of a toxic relationship can deeply distort your perception of what is healthy, leading you to confuse abusive behaviors with expressions of affection. At this point of reconstruction, it's vital to redefine these concepts, establishing new standards that prioritize respect, clear communication, and mutual care. This redefinition is the foundation for building future relationships that are genuinely healthy and enriching. Part of this process involves unlearning the toxic notions that were internalized during the previous relationship. For example, if you were led to believe that excessive jealousy was a sign of love, now it's time to understand that true love respects freedom and individuality. Additionally, it's important to explore and rediscover what truly brings emotional and physical satisfaction in a relationship. This might include learning to communicate more openly and honestly, or understanding that intimacy goes far beyond the physical, encompassing a deep emotional and spiritual connection. This new perspective on love and intimacy not only protects you from future toxic relationships, but also enriches your life as a whole. When you begin to see love as something that should nurture rather than destroy, you create space for much more fulfilling and authentic experiences. Establishing these new standards may involve seeking relationships that reflect these beliefs, whether with friends, family, or new romantic partners. What's important is that by redefining the meaning of love and intimacy, you prepare yourself for a future where relationships are a source of joy, not pain, allowing each new connection to be based on respect and true partnership. There's extraordinary strength in vulnerability, especially when a woman decides to share her story of overcoming a toxic relationship. By opening her heart and revealing the pains, struggles, and triumphs she's experienced, she not only heals herself, but also creates a space for other women to feel encouraged to do the same. This sharing can take many forms, whether in intimate conversations with friends, in support groups, or even through online platforms. The impact is powerful. Every word shared can be a spark of hope for someone who's still trapped in a toxic relationship, unable to see a way out. Vulnerability, far from being a weakness, is a demonstration of courage that can inspire profound transformations. Imagine the power of a woman who, by telling her story, helps another woman, who's still struggling in silence, realize that she's not alone. This act of sharing not only creates bonds of solidarity, but also helps dismantle the stigma around ending abusive relationships. By speaking openly about her experiences, a woman normalizes the healing process and encourages others to seek the help and support they need. Every story told is a flame that lights the way for others to follow. Moreover, by sharing her story, a woman transforms past pain into a tool for empowerment and change. The simple act of recounting her struggles and successes can inspire other women to reevaluate their own lives and make decisions that once seemed impossible. This cycle of mutual support creates a network of empowerment, where each woman, by telling her story, contributes to a larger movement of liberation and female empowerment. In this way, vulnerability becomes not only a form of personal healing, but also a catalyst for collective transformation, where together, women build a future that is freer and full of possibilities. By breaking free from a toxic relationship, a new door opens, revealing a future full of possibilities and freedom. This is the moment to dream big, to plan a life that's not only free of toxicity, but also rich in meaning, achievements, and happiness. The first step is to visualize this future clearly, setting personal and professional goals that reflect your true desires and values. Perhaps it's time to invest in a new career, start your own business, or even explore hobbies and interests that were previously set aside. Every new accomplishment in this bright future is a step toward a life that is entirely yours. Creating a plan for this future is more than just setting goals. It's also about committing to self-care and emotional well-being. This might include adopting healthy habits like regular exercise, a balanced diet, or daily meditation to keep your mind calm and focused. Additionally, it's important to cultivate relationships that bring joy and inspiration, surrounding yourself with people who support and value the new version of yourself. The bright future that now unfolds is fueled by choices that prioritize peace of mind, personal satisfaction, and continuous growth. This is also the time to allow yourself to dream without limitations, to reconnect with that sense of hope and optimism that may have been lost during the relationship. Every decision made towards this fulfilling future is a step away from toxicity and a leap towards a life full of possibilities. As you plan this new life, you not only rebuild yourself, but also redefine what it means to live in fullness, with freedom and purpose. Thus, the future becomes not just a place where you are happy, but where you truly flourish, living a life that is a reflection of the strength and resilience you've always had within you. After everything you've learned today, it's time to apply that knowledge and transform your life. Think carefully. What's still holding you back in a situation that only brings pain and frustration? Don't you deserve more than a relationship that stifles rather than nurtures? Deep down, you already know the answer. It's time to act. Reflect on everything we've discussed, and make the decision to live according to the value you truly have. What's the next step you're going to take to finally break free? Don't let this opportunity pass. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue this conversation. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new content. We're here to support you on this journey of transformation and growth. Together, we can build a future where love means respect and happiness,